Mario Kart World is about to be released for the Nintendo Switch 2. Hello? What do you mean this video took 2 months to make? No, I wouldn't say I dropped the ball on it. I just kind of got distracted with other projects. You know what? Let me just restart this video. Mario Kart World was released at some point in the past for Nintendo's next-gen system. And with their current output rate of Mario Kart games, that statement should keep relevant for another 20 years. I can't lie though, I've been dabbling a bit in this game. Common discourse on social media is that this game is a huge leap in quality from even Mario Kart 8. And that's great and all, but we all know I'm a bit more interested in retro games. And I wanted to see how this monolith of a video game series started. And there's absolutely no better way to do that than with RetroAchievements. This set is by far the hardest out of all of the games I've mastered. It has 47 achievements ranging from taking simple shortcuts, beating all of each of the game's cups, all the way to really specific challenges, and to the worst of all, flawlessing every single cup, which, let me tell you right now, forces you to become an essentially perfect driver, which isn't so easy to do because 90% of the time it feels like you're driving a bar of soap through an Alaskan side road, so stay tuned for that. And alert! At the time of writing this script, I still haven't hit 5,000 subscribers. Once I hit that goal, I'm going to master the bonus subset for Super Mario 64, which has a 50 times rarity score, and has only been completed by a small handful of people. And while you're down pressing that subscribe button, please help a guy out here. That being said, let's actually play the game now. This might come as a surprise to you, but I have very limited experience with this game. I've touched it a couple of times fooling around using Switch Online, but my takeaway from all of those sessions has been, this is abysmal dog shit and I never want to play it again. Well, here we are. Essentially, what we got going on is this. Each cup in each CC has an achievement for both simply beating it and then flawlessing it, which requires you to get first place in every race. This starts off easy, but towards the end, the tracks get harder and the CPUs get smarter, and also literally just cheat, but we'll get to that later. I chose the 50cc Mushroom Cup, picked my Yoshi, and hit race. Starting off on Mario Circuit 1, it's immediately obvious that I can't drive. I swear it's the game, it's not me. Thankfully though, in 50cc, the CPUs are pretty bad as well, so there's more than enough time for me to make up for my mistakes and come out in first. While Mario Circuit has nice paved roads for us to swerve around, Donut Plains takes place entirely on dirt, so naturally the handling is even worse. But I already got a way better grasp on the game, so this race was a breeze. I even managed to lap a couple of my competitors. Ghost Valley 1 is the next race, and actually where I got the first achievement of this set. There's a pretty easy shortcut to take here. If you get a feather as your item, I didn't on my first time, second time, or third time around, but on my fourth time, I successfully got the shortcut, and then eventually another first place. Bowser's Castle 1, like most of the early tracks in this game, is very straightforward. Drive around the track, hit some boost panels if you're in the right spot, and try your best not to hit the walls, and you're pretty golden. This one does actually have some track hazards though. There are lines of thwomps all around the stage that can just land on you if your timing's bad, but I didn't have too much trouble there. Where every single other Mario Kart game has 4 races per cup, each cup in Super Mario Kart actually features 5 races to tackle. Well, this inclusion of a 5th track is gonna really further the runtime of this set. Race 5 for the Mushroom Cup is Mario Circuit 2, so not much to say here that we didn't for Mario Circuit 1. Except this one does have a pretty cool jump section. It was once again a walk in the park. After getting first in the last race, we've completed 50cc Mushroom Cup and have gotten the achievement for a normal win and also for a flawless run. Naturally, it's time to move on to the Flower Cup 50cc. This time I chose Mario because I'm a basic guy. I'm like normal Bob. Flower Cup starts off with a new level type, Choco Island. Similarly to Donut Plains, the ground is all dirt, so it makes handling harder. We've also got some mud splotches in the way, which definitely makes driving a bit more involved. They slow you down quite a bit, so you have to dodge those. Ghost Valley 2 is very similar to the first, except this time around, there wasn't a shortcut that I attempted and failed at multiple times. I did fall off here though once. In Donut Plains 2, I got this Monty Mole stuck to my face for a long ass time, then I learned you have to spam hop to get him off. This track actually taught me some extremely important tools I would need in order to become a master at this game. There are a lot of super tight lines and turns you need to take that are impossible to get when you're going full pedal to the metal. It really is vital you ease off the acceleration and take corners slowly so you don't end up flying into the walls. But yeah, now we know how to drive a little bit better. It really is like taking the training wheels off when you finally go into a level with traction. So Bowser's Castle 2 was a nice treat. Well, until I went for this shortcut that ended up with me in the lava and got thwomped and got mushroomed and crushed. This was the first time I actually lost a race, but as unforgiving as Super Mario Kart can be, it has one saving grace. Its retry system. When doing single player cups, you have multiple tries, and if you're like me going for flawless victories, when you do fall grossly behind, you can just hit retry, try again, and get first place. This is gonna save us if I had to estimate tens of hours in the future. I mean, this time around, my head ass made the mistake of hitting end and not retry, so it wasn't actually fast. But we made it back to Bowser 2 and beat it in first place. We have another Mario circuit to end off the Flower Cup, and fun fact, I hit 2 bananas during this race and still won in a landslide. So you could say we're kind of in the baby mode of this set. With that, we have regular, gold, and flawless. Last up for 50cc is Star Cup, so let's start that. I continued my character experimentation and picked up Peach, and we got a brand new track type right off the bat here, Cheep Cheep Beach. The Cheep Cheep Beach tracks are actually my favorite in the whole game. I think it's because for some reason, I have fond memories of Shy Guy Beach in Super Circuit from when I was a wee little lad, and it's similar to that. Let's move on to Choco Island 2. This one features a giant pit you gotta drive through, or around if you're a germaphobe like me. And just keep on the track, don't end up in the mud. I managed to pick up the achievement Cautious Driver during this one for not hitting anything or anyone around the racetrack, so that's pretty cool. We actually get another track type here, and it's Vanilla Lake, because of course we need an ice theme in the kart racing game. You know, karts which are known for not driving well on ice. My favorite feature of this track are the perfect snow cubes you can bump into. Wait, no, not can bump into, are basically forced to bump into, at least on the first lap. But here, you just drive in a circle around the lake. Nothing more to say. Race 4 is Bowser's Castle again. And this one, oh, this one, it's gonna give us hell down the line. But for now, let's just enjoy it in 50cc happy easy time. Lastly, another Mario circuit, which I get it, this is the first Mario Kart, but we couldn't have a little bit more map variety. This is Mario Circuit 4. This is once again nothing to write home about. We've been there, done that, first place. Okay, now we've completed every 50cc achievement and seen every track in the main 3 cups of the game at this point. For 100cc, I'm gonna save this video a teeny tiny eensy weensy bit of runtime and just tell you, I got through Mushroom and Flower 100cc very easily. It took me pretty much like 40 minutes on the dot to finish these 4 achievements, and I surprisingly didn't even collect anything other than the completion achievements here. So yeah, hey, why not? But when we got to 100cc Star Cup, things got a little bit interesting. I actually ended up getting 3 achievements completely by accident. The first of which was this shortcut during Choco Island. Don't know how I missed this prior, but I saw it right off the start and took it. Also during this race, I pulled the most insane, intense comeback of my life. At the beginning of the lap, I was down in 5th place, and in what I can only explain as a divine intervention from God himself, I was somehow able to claw my way back to first through whatever this was. Like genuinely, I don't know how this happened. I was spinning out the whole time. This ended up giving me the achievement Epic Comeback for going from 5th to 1st in the last lap of a race. I'd say this was a happy accident because I think this one would have been tough otherwise. In Bowser's Castle, there was an achievement for going down all 3 of these lanes, which I once again got randomly. But this one was easy, so it could have happened at any time at all. Other than that, it was smooth-ish sailing to the end for the 2 achievements in Star Cup 100cc. Now for beating that, we've unlocked this Special Cup, which is a cup featuring 5 other races. Special Cup is exclusive to 100cc and later 150cc, so we only have to do the 100cc for now. This is when things started to get rough. Up until this point, it's been a walk in the park, or a Sunday morning drive to get through the past cups. But this one, things really take a spike up in difficulty. Take the starting donut plains, for example. Turns are tighter, straightaways are narrower, and we have a water obstacle. And a decent amount of the track is this extra low traction dirt. So I really needed to figure out how to get through this efficiently. And if we've noticed, I've tried to go for perfect runs along with my first time around in each cup. I think I have an ego complex because that's how I decided to do every cup. Like, I don't know why I did this to myself. Maybe I thought I would be unskilled if I did them separately, but I don't know. So I wouldn't take second place as an option, making this cup take way longer to learn. Let's put this into perspective real quick. It took me 9 tries just to get out of Donut Plains once. Thankfully, I got first in Cheep Cheep Beach after a few tries without needing to give up, also getting this achievement, by the way. But then I was so low on lives, I had only 1 shot at Ghost Valley. which I blew. So by going for perfect runs, I was stunting the whole learning process at the risk of being uncool, I guess. It took me about an hour and a half or so to get to the point where I could get to Vanilla Lake consistently, which was thankfully easy enough. After that, it's on to the final course of the Special Cup, the one, the only, Rainbow Road, which, as you may have imagined, if you have ever played a Mario Kart game, this is very, very hard. This beautiful track features no barriers, so you can easily fall off the track should you wish. Sharp turns so you and your family can spin out once again off the track. Multiple waves of thwomps that can easily crush your bones, and finally, 7 other racers who have no remorse and will knock you into the void constantly. I found that trying to take it slow was the best way to get through this. Right now, the CPUs are good, but they're not so amazing that they're almost perfect at driving, yet. Even with taking it slow, it wasn't until my 3rd run that made it to Rainbow Road that I got first place in the race, getting both achievements for 100cc Special Cup, which means we've completed the entire— Oh, you thought it would be that easy, did you? For beating every cup in the game, we unlock a new mode, 150cc, which features faster driving and better, nay, not better, borderline masochistic CPUs. So let's start off with the Mushroom Cup. Thankfully for now, the simplicity of these races makes it so that things aren't too crazy yet, but it is immediately apparent how much better the CPUs are. They're constantly on my tail, passing me kind of like a rubber band type of thing. I needed to start thinking about my item usage a bit more, and even still, a lot of these races were very close. But the biggest one that gave me trouble was race 5. I had to retry this one a few times, but I squeaked my way through to the end without struggling too much. And with that, onto the Flower Cup again. At some point, I got the achievement for hopping 50 times in a race and still getting first. Don't know why I was jumping that much, but I was. These are kind of the final major achievements that weren't absolute hell to get. Sure, I did have a couple of game overs, but this only took me half an hour to get through. But, something is peeking over the horizon. This is the point where this set takes a deep dive from medium to hard to impossible mode, especially for someone like me who looks like this. But before I get into this, I want you to know the rest of this session is another 3.5 hours, and I ended up rage quitting at the end. But let's get into what is so difficult about 150cc Star Cup, stage by stage. Cheep Cheep Beach here is by far the easiest of the 5 in Star Cup, but there are some things that make it difficult. The sand makes it so that your traction is abysmal dog shit, so I did end up swerving off good lines pretty often. Additionally, this water, if I don't get through it efficiently, I can end up losing a lot of time. And it's the same sort of story for Choco Island. Dirt roads and you to efficiently go through the mud. Vanilla Lake, you're just kind of swerving around and hitting snowbanks all the time, so that can pretty much mess you up. Okay, so it sounds tough. Sure, there are some annoying things here and there so far, but honestly, this cup doesn't seem all too bad, right? Well. This stage, Bowser's Castle. This may be the most frustrating stage in the entire game. I cannot even begin to tell you how horrible this was, but I'll try my hardest. Here's the deal. I've mentioned this, but in 150cc, the CPUs are genuinely almost perfect drivers, which makes the super narrow passages of Bowser's Castle grossly overcrowded. It is genuinely what I imagine evacuating a major city during a zombie outbreak is like. All of this is to say, if you don't start off with a decent lead, it is super hard to get back up to the front, which makes only my first try each time I get here to be viable, since if I restart, I begin the race in the very back. So there's that. We only get one good attempt when we get here. Okay, now there's this line of thwomps over here that take up the entire road, and it's pretty random which ones will be up or down, or maybe all of them will be down actually, which means one bump and you're donezo. Why am I donezo, you might ask? Well, I'm sure the stage hazards affect every racer, right? So like, if the thwomps are down, sure, I get bumped, but the rest of the CPUs do as well, right? No, the CPUs are just cheaters and can drive through them. They don't care. They just do not have this huge halting barrier in the way. And here's another gripe with the CPUs. They have infinite abilities that they can and just will spam. This is because for some godforsaken reason, the developers decided that CPUs are limited to one item type, but they can use it as much as they want. So CPUs like, say, Mario and Luigi have infinite stars. Remember, this stage is super narrow, so I'm constantly getting hit by star power-ups over and over. I'm not kidding you. This was one of the most frustrating stages in the set, without a doubt. And remember, it takes about 10 minutes to get to this stage. So I'm going 10 minutes, assuming I'm not having to reset at all in between runs that make it to Bowser's Castle. And then I have essentially one RNG-filled try gamble on whether I make it through this race. And here, I did some digging for you so you can understand my pain. Out of the 23 runs over the course of that 3 hours I did this, 9 of the runs died to Bowser's Castle. Sure, 7 of them also died to Choco Mountain, which is a pretty close number, but that's because I decided to reset if I lost any attempts here to have as many tries at Bowser's Castle as I could. And this doesn't include hours of practice I put in on my Nintendo Switch in my free time in between achievement hunting sessions. I remember this like it was yesterday. Picture me in my last few weeks of college. You know, the time in which you're supposed to be with your friends hanging out and having fun. My friends wanted to watch a movie. If I recall it, it was this shitty superhero parody movie. And no, I wasn't really watching. The entire time I was just ripping Bowser's Castle over and over and over. So I practiced and did runs, and eventually I got a run that made it to the end. But before we get into the attempt that I finally won in, let's talk about some achievements that I unlocked while in the Star Cup. Because remember, this isn't John Complains Hour, it's a Retro Achievements video. During this sea of attempts, I managed to do a quick start. Wait, you're telling me I made it this far without knowing how to boost off the starting line? Then also, I beat a race in 150cc without letting go of acceleration, which was honestly not too bad. Then lastly, the shortcut in Mario Circuit 4, which is kind of the way I did the race every single time. Okay, now let's talk about the run that made it. No joke, this was my second run after a day or so break. I made it to Bowser's Castle, had a perfect line around the first corner, and into the first lane with the boost panel, got through lap 2 perfectly, until I barely bumped the wall at the start of lap 3. At this point, Luigi passed me, and I had thought it was over, but someone saved me. I guess Yoshi threw a red shell and it hit Luigi. Then I made it through lap 4 and 5 with a major gap. I wish I had a heart monitor here, because my heart was beating and my hands were honestly sweating, because I knew it was either I won now or it would be a while before I got this opportunity again. Before lap 3, Yoshi passed me up and I was starting to get nervous. I kept falling further and further back, and I thought to myself, of course I would choke this, why wouldn't I? But I had my savior, a mushroom. It helped me get back into first, and I went into the final lap with a small lead. I raced, messed up a tiny bit, but kept in front and barely beat Luigi to get first in the race by a single 1/10 of a second. Point 1, that was the difference of a win and a loss, but I did it. And it was sort of the same story with the Special Cup, although this one took me around 3 hours to get. And it's thankfully because this time around the hardest track is actually the first one. For me, I had the most trouble here in Donut Plains. It is a super windy level, as we know, so at fast speeds, it's kind of gross. But this stage being the wall in my way is good, since I don't have to play 10 or 15 minutes to get to it. It's right off the bat, and I get as many tries as I could possibly need. Cheap Beach here did also give me a decent amount of trouble. Your driving still needs to be precise in order to not land in the deeper water, which if you do, the attempt's over and you gotta restart. I really want to make note of Ghost Valley because this level actually became one of my favorites because of this mechanic. That really sounded like a YouTube short. I noticed something a little bit special about the boost pads. It seems to me that if you hit a boost panel, you keep that major boost of speed as long as you don't hit anything or let go of acceleration. So it was fun to try and see how long I could keep that boost for. It kind of became a game within a game. Also, correct me if I'm wrong on that mechanic. I'm just saying this based off of my own experience, and I don't know if it's true. It's also in this stage where I managed to unlock the achievement for falling off a stage and getting carried over the finish line for first place, which is pretty metal. Vanilla Lake is easy for the most part, so Rainbow Road is kind of like the final boss of this game. I mean, naturally this one is going to give us some trouble since, you know, it's Rainbow Road. We're fast, the CPUs are goated, and it's easy to get knocked off or hit by the thwomps. It's honestly kind of similar to Bowser 3, so you think that this would be another insane hurdle for me to jump over. But honestly, I think the time it took to get through this one was reasonable. It only took me 4 runs to Rainbow Road to get through this. The main thing was just don't fall off, which at times was hard because of the CPUs bumping me, but it really was just raw good driving. I genuinely think that Bowser and Star Cup prepared me well for Rainbow Road, so that I was ready to take it on properly. For getting the Special Cup done, I actually got 4 achievements. First, for beating Rainbow Road on 150cc without falling off, then our 2 normal ones, and then one called Lightweight Expert for getting gold on special 150cc with Yoshi or Toad. So now we're past the Sisyphean task that was perfecting every single cup. But there are still a couple of achievements that will prove to be difficult, which are getting gold in Special Cup 150cc as medium weight or heavyweight. But before we go on to that, we have 10 achievements I need to clean up here. These are shortcuts / secrets as well as some special conditions. So let's hit those fast. First was the Secret of Koopa Beach 1, which I don't know how I managed to never hit it, but hey, easy cheevo. Then I had to finish a race while lapping every single one of my opponents, which I read was easy to do by going into 50cc Flower Cup. I tried doing it as Yoshi for a while, but I had no luck, so I switched to Donkey Kong Jr., who along with Bowser has the highest max speed, but horrible handling, even for this game, and did it in no time. Then I needed to mushroom boost into first place to win a race. The hard part about this is that you need to use the item a half second before the race ends, so the timing is decently tight, but as long as you're able to get a mushroom in your item slot, this one is very easy as well. Then I needed to slide over a banana peel to win a race, which I did by placing a banana on the finish line myself at the end of lap 4, then just drove over it on the final lap. The only thing with this one is that the banana needs to be a bit out of the way so the CPUs don't drive over it. Then I needed to collect 40 coins and win a race, which was a fun challenge. Best place to do this is in Mario Circuit 1. You need to be efficient with your coin collecting, because obviously if you miss too many or get hit, it's pretty much wraps for you. But once you do get it down, it is pretty satisfying to pull off. This one was an easy but goodie. Then I went for the shortcuts in Donut Plains 1, Ghost Valley 2, Bowser Castle 2, which by the way, keeping with the theme of Bowser's Castle is pretty hard, Mario Circuit 3, and Ghost Valley 3. And now we only have 2 achievements left, getting gold in 150cc special cup as medium weight and heavyweight. The nice thing about this is that I don't need to get perfect runs, so this should be way easier. I want to do a montage of these last 2 achievements, but before I do that, I want to just talk a little bit about the differences for these classes. Mario and Luigi are considered medium weight, and they have all around good stats, good acceleration, a great top speed, and average handling. Then Bowser and Donkey Kong Jr. have horrible acceleration, meaning you're basically screwed if you hit a wall, but they have the fastest top speeds in the game, which is odd for the heavyweights, but okay. And they have pretty weird handling as well, which makes it hard to drive. So now that you kind of get the strengths and weaknesses of these guys, let's hit that montage. And that's mostly it for this mastery. It is by far the hardest set I've ever done, taking 14 hours and 12 minutes. But as we know, this doesn't include the numerous practice hours I had. So I'd estimate the true runtime was closer to 22 to 24 hours with that in mind. Okay, I'm gonna end this video as fast as I can because I want to keep this retention graph up. Bye.